What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here, and in today's video, we're gonna be talking about these stimulus package updates, okay? Now, I have not made a video about this in a little while, and first what I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and I wanna go back in time a little bit and talk about some of the old stimulus proposals. And we're just gonna do that really quick, and then we're gonna dive into the most recent stimulus proposals as of today, December 10th, 2020. If you're brand new to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would consider just smashing that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Typically on my channel, we're talking about business, finance, real estate, the stock market, and a whole lot more. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the video. So obviously we're all familiar with the CARES Act, right? The CARES Act got passed about 7 months ago, and I actually just got my stimulus check from the CARES Act recently, so that's kind of interesting. But you know, we're all familiar with that one, right? And we're familiar with that one did for our economy. In a nutshell, the CARES Act provided about $560 billion to individuals, and the way that kind of broke down was that every American earning less than about $75,000 a year got a $1,200 stimulus check. Now, if you were married earning less than $150,000 a year, then obviously it was about $2,400. And then you got $500 per child up to 3 children. So a family earning less than $150,000 a year with 3 children got about $3,400. And then big corporations got about $500 billion, small businesses got about $377 billion, state and local governments got about $339 billion, public health $153 billion, and education about $43 billion. Now, it did some other things like giving the unemployment benefits an enhancement of about $600 a week. So in a nutshell, that is what the CARES Act did for the American people. Now let's talk about the HEROES Act for just a quick second. So the HEROES Act is a proposal that pretty much everybody's been talking about for the last several months. But the reality of it is it never really had that good of a chance of passing. The HEROES Act called for about $2.2 trillion worth of stimulus. And it included a $1,200 check, just like the CARES Act, and a $500 check to dependents, which was not included in the CARES Act. The HEROES Act also restored the $600 a week enhancement to the unemployment benefits. So if the HEROES Act were to get passed, it would actually restore back to that $600 a week in unemployment benefit enhancements, up from that $300 mark. So the HEROES Act was actually very similar to the CARES Act, as most of the other technical funding was very similar. They were going to extend the payroll support program for a lot of the airline workers, and that was gonna really help aid because of the lack of travel right now in the airline industry. It would have given more funds to the education and childcare at around a $500 billion mark. So I'm not gonna get into all of the funding with the state and local governments and all of the other stuff, and I'm just gonna say that a lot of that was included in that potential HEROES Act proposal. But what I know for a fact you care about, and what I know that I care about, is when it comes to the actual stimulus check and the unemployment benefits. So the HEROES Act had a very little chance of actually passing because the Senate did not want to pass a bill for over $1 trillion. Now, Senate Leader Mitch McConnell proposed a bill for $500 billion that did not include the unemployment benefit enhancements, and it also didn't include the stimulus checks. Now, previously, the White House was leaning towards a proposal of about $1.6 trillion, but it was clear that they weren't gonna like that one either because they didn't like the one for $2.2 trillion. The Senate had actually stated that they didn't want to pass anything over $1 trillion, so pretty much the HEROES Act was exactly what it was. It was just a proposal. There was another bipartisan group that came out and proposed a $906 billion bill that extended the unemployment benefits but did not include a stimulus check. This package was first dismissed by Mitch McConnell, but a counteroffer was proposed by Steven Mnuchin, who is the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, and the proposal has already been approved by Trump, McConnell, Mnuchin, and McCarthy, who are all people whose approval is important for passing the next stimulus package. The counteroffer is for $916 billion. The offer includes a $600 stimulus check to all qualifying Americans, children, and adults. However, it does eliminate the additional $300 a week that was the executive order that was passed by Trump, and ultimately they would end up cutting that. Now, the package that was proposed right before that we were just talking about for $906 billion did have the additional $300 a week in the unemployment benefit, but it didn't have that actual stimulus check. Now, both of these packages are actually a bit problematic, okay? Because the first package at the $906 billion mark didn't have that actual stimulus check in it. And, everybody's pretty much said that they want to see that stimulus check. Both the Democratic and the Republican Party and Donald Trump himself. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have the $916 billion proposal, which cut the $300 in additional unemployment benefit. And Nancy Pelosi even came out and she basically said that that was unacceptable, right? The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, says, literally on her Twitter, that it is unacceptable. But everybody from both ends of the spectrum has actually come out and said that our country really needs aid of some sort. So it isn't really that unlikely that we'll actually see a stimulus package get passed potentially before Christmas. Now, obviously, negotiation will have to go smoothly and Congress is going to have to move fast, but it is possible. Now, again, when's the last time that any negotiation went smoothly in 2020? And when's the last time that Congress moved fast, okay? I don't really know. So what I encourage you to do is just take a minute and just smash the like button instead. But hopefully we can just sit back and ultimately see something get passed. Joe Manchin has stated that he would ultimately just want somebody to pick one of the two proposals and finalize one of them in order to get something done before the government shuts down on the 18th. So I'm just gonna take just a quick minute and share with you what I think is gonna go ahead and happen next, okay? So just take what you like, leave what you don't like, just like a buffet table, and let's just jump right into it. So I personally think this $916 billion proposal is gonna get negotiated by Nancy Pelosi and the House. There is really no way that that package is gonna get passed as is, just based off of Nancy Pelosi's response. And at the same time, I don't really see Mnuchin making any significant changes to the current proposal. So in my opinion, one of two things is gonna happen. Either the overall expenses of this proposal are going to exceed the $916 billion it's already at, and in which case, Nancy Pelosi has basically said that she wants to see that in a package no matter what. Or, I think the negotiation might go ahead and look to pull funding from other areas to go ahead and pay for the additional unemployment benefits. Now, obviously, they can go ahead and just give up the unemployment benefits and just go a different route with helping the unemployed. Like offer a bonus for returning to work and extend the payroll tax cut as an incentive for returning to work. But I personally don't believe that Nancy Pelosi is ever gonna go for that. Now, I personally believe that the budget will go ahead and increase, and it is hard to say if that budget will ever go above $1 trillion, just because Mitch McConnell and the Senate have basically come out and said that they do not want it to go above $1 trillion. So I think the budget will land somewhere around that $1 trillion mark, and hopefully allowing the unemployment benefits to get funded with that additional cash. Now, we're gonna have to see this all happen very quickly. It's the 10th of December right now, depending on when you're watching the video, and basically all of the government leaves on the 18th for Christmas and doesn't return until January. So in a perfect world, in theory, the House could go ahead and vote on it on the 16th, the Senate could vote on it on the 17th, and the President could actually sign it on the 18th. And if that all played out perfectly and that scenario is all buttoned up and beautiful, we could actually be receiving aid before the end of 2020. But now if negotiators go ahead and agree but it fails in either the House or the Senate, then one of the parties can go ahead and they can push their own agenda in their majority chambers. But it would ultimately fail or fail to be considered by the other. Now in this scenario, Congress would actually heavily consider waiting until Biden is sworn in as president. Biden and his team have stated that they're willing and ready to sign as soon as him and his team are sworn in. Now this is a real strategy that they've talked about, and essentially they'd be looking at this as almost as a down payment to a bigger package that they would potentially pass in January. But as it sits right now, Trump as the acting president, he would need to sign any potential bill for it to get passed into law before January 20th. So we essentially have 8 days for everybody to figure something out, okay? So there's a lot that's gonna happen over the next 8 days. It is gonna get pretty crazy, and I definitely wanna make sure that I try to keep you updated until the end of the year. Again, I know I haven't made any stimulus videos in the last couple of months. I've just been busy making other content as it pertains to real estate, finance, the stock market, and a whole lot of other stuff. So if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would take just a quick minute and just smash the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and whatever I left out of the video, as it pertains to stimulus or whatever the case is, drop in the comments section. If you have any questions, your thoughts, your opinions, I would love to hear from you, and I would love to make a lot more videos just like this one. Also, if you you haven't already, definitely go ahead and make sure to subscribe to my podcast. The link is down below. It's called The A&A Show, where I have a co-host also named Austin, and we interview cool people all around the world, talk about a ton of stuff on our podcast as it relates to business, life, money, success, and a whole lot more. Definitely, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe over there, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.